been asking friends what they think about me, and the most common complaint is you're really loud. So I'm gonna do this with the microphone. So I'm gonna talk about chance, but not like coincidence, and I'm gonna kind of get to some backstory to get to the fun story, but it's worth it. I totally promise. So I grew up like the most typical American kind of way, in that you don't know very much about the outside world, and you don't travel very much outside of the United States. It was very, very typical. So typical that it was not very typical. It like the most abnormally normal childhood that you could imagine. Very boring. So at the age of 31, when I finally left America, I went to Korea to teach English to kindergarten children. This is not very normal. And it was a really exciting, great first experience living abroad. And I loved it. And I did that for 2 years. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to keep traveling. I'm going to make teaching my profession, and I'm going to use that to keep traveling the world. And so I decided I want to go to Lebanon. I've wanted to go to Lebanon for the longest time, and I just didn't know how to do it. And while I was still in Korea, I bought this book called Vagabonding by Rolf Potts. Write that down. It's just a thin little book. And it's all about how to travel the world on a shoestring budget and just keep going. And if you want to go for years, travel for years and years and years. And it's a how-to book. But honestly, more than half of the book is just a pep talk. He's just saying, you can do it. No, really, honestly, you can do it. It's not that big of a deal, just go ahead and do it. And I'm reading this and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And I'm getting really excited. And so my time in Korea is ending, and so I planned this big trip. I'm going to come to Lebanon, but I'm going to take as few planes as possible. The big idea was like to not take a single plane at all. But then, of course, the war in Syria happened, so that was just not possible anymore. But I did take a boat. I took a boat from Korea to Russia. You can do that. And then from Russia, I took the train. I spent a month in Siberia, and then a month in Kazakhstan, and then 2 weeks in Uzbekistan, and then I flew to Turkey. And so 2.5 months of traveling, I get to Turkey, to Istanbul, December 23rd. And I'm like, I'm having so much fun, but I'm a little bit tired. And then December 24th, Christmas Eve, comes, and it's kind of a dreary day, and I'm staying at a hostel. This is my first experience staying at a hostel. And, you know, sitting around and meeting people. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to have a chill day, Christmas Eve. It's dreary outside. I'm meeting these cool people. Somebody's got a guitar. This is really nice. 3 p.m. 3 p.m. This guy comes down the stairs, and he's like, hey, I'm going to go to church. Anybody want to go to church, huh? That's my impression of an Italian man speaking English. You're welcome. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I want to go to church. Sure, absolutely, cool. So I'm going to go to Christmas Eve service at the one Catholic church in the entire city of Istanbul. And this is great. So 3 or just a little after 3, we head out. And then 5 p.m. comes, and I'm out to dinner with this Italian guy and his lovely 8 Italian lady friends. And I'm like, how did this happen? I don't know how this happened. What are the chances that this would happen to me, that I'm out with all these Italian people in Istanbul on Christmas Eve? But I'm like, cool, you know, whatever. They're talking, they're being very, very generous and speaking a lot of English to me. And I'm like meeting people, and this is so much fun to me. So much fun. This is not, you know, the way I'd been living the majority of my life up to this point. Meeting people in foreign countries and speaking in broken English. And so we get to the church. It's about 7 o'clock. And again, this is the only church in all of only Catholic church in all of Istanbul. So it's serving the entire Catholic community of Istanbul, a lot of expatriates. There's apparently 4 different services: Turkish, English, Italian, and Polish. All right? But for Christmas Eve, it's all going to be just one big Christmas Eve service. So that's the entire Catholic community stuffed into this church. But we get there early. I'm not really sure why at this point, but we get there early, and we're sitting right up in the front. And, just having nice casual conversations. And then this woman walks up to this group of us, and she's going, this is my impression of an Italian woman speaking Italian. You're welcome. And so this is happening, and all the ladies and the guys start standing up, start grabbing their purses and stuff, and dude taps me on the shoulder, and he's kind of like motioning. I'm like, okay. So we stand up. I mean, we're already at the front of this church, but we start moving forward. And I'm like, there's nowhere left for us to go except up to the pulpit and the stage. And sure enough, that's what we do. All of a sudden, we're sitting down up on the stage because apparently all of these Italian folks were in the church choir. They didn't share this with me before when we're sitting at dinner. Just, they just kind of wanted to practice their English and get to know the American guy. They were all Erasmus students studying in Turkey, and this was their church. And now I'm in the choir. And so, again, I'm given a little book with all the songs. And of course, the English I can sing along with, da 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 da. But there's Turkish, and there's Italian, and there's Polish. And I recognize all of these letters on the Polish part, but again, there's a whole lot of lines that just don't make any sense. I have no idea what sound I'm even supposed to make with this. So there's just a whole lot of now, mind you, I am really enjoying this. If you know me, this is super fun to me. But I can't participate too much. I can't do very much participating except and I don't know how much the Italians know the Turkish or the Polish, but they're singing along with the Italians, sure. And and the church is packed. It's like 4,000 people, I swear. And they have this one procession where the Catholic preacher. I'm not Catholic, so this is all. I don't apologize if I'm explaining this wrong. But the Catholic priest and the whole thing, they're making their procession all the way around the church, and they're walking like this, carrying the cross, because there's just no room. It's packed, and I'm on stage in the choir. I do not know how this happened. But then the evening ends with Feliz Navidad. Now, I am belting that out. Tell you what, I am belting that out. I am like, Feliz Navidad. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. And and I got a little video of, just panning around at these Italian people just clapping their hands, and there's this sea of people in the church. It's huge, and I'm just like, what are the chances that 4 hours ago I would have said, you know what you're going to do tonight, Steve? Let me tell you, you're going to be in the choir. You're going to be singing to the entire Catholic community of one of the world's largest cities. So, to end from my soapbox, I would like to say that I'm really glad I took a chance and went on this crazy, wild adventure. And I would say that if you want to do something like this, do it. Take a chance, do something ridiculous. I can predict that the unpredictable will happen. And chances are it's going to be friggin' awesome.